Chapter 5, Rulers and Buildings. In this chapter, we will be discussing about the prominent rulers and the marvelous buildings or constructions or the fantastic architecture which was being built during the medieval period. How did they build? What are the famous structures they have built? And from where they have got this idea? Did they get inspired with some constructions which are made across the world? So all these things we'll be discussing. First, the major construction was made by Qutbuddin Aibak, that is in 1199 AD, that is Qutub Minar. The Qutub Minar, which came into existence as a symbol of the Afghan rule in the 1199, so which shows that it was a fantastic construction. Why we are branding it as a fantastic construction? During that period of time, the usage of the bricks was really not known to them. Very few constructions are constructed using bricks. So they used to construct with the limestone, with all these things, and used to make the structures. And the structure, if you observe the Qutub Minar, it contains many small arches and many geometrical shapes. And on these arches and the geometrical designs of the shapes, we have again the curved and the angular surfaces. And on these curved and the angular surfaces, we need to have the inscriptions which are written in the Arabic. So in order to put the inscriptions on the curved and the angular surfaces which are having small arches and different geometrical designs, needs a lot of precision. So how much planning has gone in to build such a beautiful pillar or a symbol of Afghans establishing rule over India. So the constructions which are made by the rulers of that period of time always has some specialty and some special importance, or as a remembrance or as a symbol of something. This could be the reasons why they have constructed these constructions. And what are the major constructions that the kings or the emperors used to do? The kings used to generally construct two categories of constructions. First, the forts, the palaces where they used to stay, that were constructed on a very high elevated places, so that they can look at the people who are coming over to them. In case if there is any enemy attack over them, they can escape from here by looking them at very far off places. And then they used to construct garden residences and tombs after they pass away, or the king who has just passed away. So like this, these are the first set of constructions which the kings generally used to do. That is the forts, the palaces, the garden residences and the tombs. The second, which is to please the public, that is the temples, the mosques, the tanks and the wells. The temples are generally constructed by the Hindu rulers, while the mosques are constructed by the Islam rulers. The tanks and the wells are for the welfare of the public. So generally it is believed that the king has to take care of their subjects, and it is expected that the king would fulfill all the duties. And the kings also in return would expect that they are serving the people, so they want the praises from the people or the public. So this is the reason why they used to construct the second category, that is the temples, the mosques or the tanks or the wells. So let us now go into details how the constructions are made, what are the techniques that they used, what are the new styles, what do we call them, all these details. Now the engineering skills and constructions of that particular period. During that period, if you look at the monuments, which gives us the insight of the technologies that are used for building of the construction. If you look at the Qutbuddin Aibak's Qutub Minar, in that we have seen the different angular shapes, the different curved structures, the geometrical shapes, and over them the inscriptions are placed. So it shows us clearly what are the technologies that are being used. In the similar way, when you look at any monument, we come to know, or which gives us idea like what kind of technologies are being used in constructing such a fantastic monument. Now let us look at the roof, for example. The roofs are generally holding by the wooden beams or the slab stones over the vertical columns. So as the time passed on, now the constructors or the people those who are doing constructions started to elaborate the structure. So they started to put a superstructure over the roof, and they started to increase the rooms, the number of doors, the number of windows. So as the number of rooms are increasing, as the number of doors are increasing, as the number of windows are increasing, this has to be holded by the lower structures. So above and below we have the same structures. So they want to have a different design for that. So all these gave for a superstructure, and from the 17th century, from the 7th to 10th century, we have seen people, especially the constructors, increasing the number of rooms, the number of windows, the number of doors for their constructions. So if you look at the picture here, the structure shows for us that there are two vertical beams, and over that there is a horizontal beam. But down the horizontal beam you have a structure which is curved. This curved structure started to become the style or iconic symbol of that particular period. So this structure is actually constructed near the big mosques, temples, palaces, forts, tombs, garden palaces, etc. So at the main entrance, like an arch, it was constructed. So this structuring of two vertical pillars holding the horizontal beam, and inside you have this V-like architecture or the arc. This structure is called as trabete or corbelled. It is called trabete or corbelled. These kind of structures started to become famous from 7th century to 12th century. And in this we also come to know there are two different techniques which are used. First one, the weight of the superstructure. That is, the weight of the superstructure, actually this structure weight is held by the arch itself. The weight of this horizontal beam, generally the constructions or the roofs which we are doing, the slab stone holds the weight, but here the weight of the horizontal beam and this arch together are held by arch only. So this holding of the arch, the weight is known as the arcuate. What is it known as? Arcuate. What is the structure known as? Trabete or corbelled. The weight holding by the arc itself, the weight is known as arcuate, and during that period they used to use the limestone cement, which is a very high quality cement, and once it gets added with the stone chips, it becomes into a concrete shape, and the way you design the shape, it gets freezed with that. So that makes it very easy to do this kind of marvelous constructions. So the engineering skills are really visible when you look at any monument constructed during this period. So that monument gives us the idea of the technologies what are being used, and the roofs, for example, are generally held by the wooden beams or the slab of the stone. But as the time passed on, they brought changes and the superstructures are being imposed on the roofs. And from the 7th century to 10th century, we can see the number of rooms are being increased, and the number of doors and the windows also got added over the floor. So the structures has to be modified and the new design has come. So this new design is a different one because it is not in the previous style. There are two vertical bars or pillars holding the horizontal bar. Holding below that we have the arch, and this structure is known as trabete or corbelled. The holding of this arch itself, not on the wooden bar or on the slab stone, is called as arcuate. And we also have limestone cement, that is very high quality cement. When it gets added with the chips, automatically it becomes concrete. The way you shape it, however you shape the cement, it gets freezed with that. So this makes the constructions very easy for doing the actual shape what we need. Building temples, mosques and tanks. Why did the rulers build the temples, mosques or a tank? First point, they started to associate themselves as gods. The kings always used to proclaim or consider themselves as representatives of the god. It is there from the ancient period. It is not a new concept for us. We have certain theories proclaiming this kind of information or incarnation, like divine right theory, which gives us the justification that king is next to God or appointed by God. In a similar way, we have here the worship places, the buildings like temples, mosques, gurudwaras. All these are the places where people, the rulers, the priests, the holy people, or the noblemen or statesmen, anybody would go there to worship. So it's a place where you can show how you construct the place and how fantastic it is and how creative it is. At the same time, how wealthy it is, the place of worship, in that how beautiful the design, the architecture and everything. So the kings want to portray that through these worship places. And the second thing is, they want to show how much powerful they are, how much wealthy they are, and also their devotion to God. One such example what we have is Rajarajeshwara temple, which was built by King Rajarajadeva on the name of the god whom he worshipped, that is Rajarajeshwaram. So the temple was built on his name as well as on the god's name. So whenever there are worships going on the name of the god, it's also worshipping the name. So like this, they started to use their names associated with the god's names. And sometimes the small deities or the allied constructions in the temples are made by the kings or the subordinate kings or the allies. And large temples are generally constructed by the kings, whether lesser deities or the smaller deities, small temples. As we know, when we visit a temple, we find many small deities around or many small other gods, deities also. So this shows that the other small subordinate kings, samantas or the allies, used to support the king when he is doing the major construction. And like this, the Hindus started to claim that they are the God's representatives. When it comes to the Muslims or the Islam or the Padshahs, they never claimed that they are God's representatives. They were said that they are the shadows of the God. So God has chosen Alauddin because he has the qualities of Moses and Solomon. Moses for his daring, Solomon for his wiseness. So Alauddin has the characteristics of Moses' daring attitude and Solomon's wiseness. That's what is mentioned in the inscriptions of the Kuwait al-Islam mosque. So on this mosque we find these kind of inscriptions, and it is also mentioned very clearly that God is the lawgiver. God creates everything. God is a person who guides everyone on a right way. So God has created this world out of chaos. There is nothing in this world. So God has created this and placed it in an order and created symmetry. So today whatever we see, that there is a systematic procedure. There is a way to deal with everything. There are symmetrical things. So all these things are created by God out of nothing. That's what the statement meant here. And coming to the king's association with the gods, kings generally used to claim that they have the moral right to be as a king, and they maintain a very good relationship with the god. That's what is shown when they come to the place of worship. They used to construct the fantastic, marvelous temples or the mosques to make the others also associate that the king is very much passionate about the god, because they and God are representatives, or he is very much close to God. The relationship between him and the god can be portrayed in the construction of the temples. And the other thing is the availability of water. It is also believed that if the king is a just person, he is a very good ruler, the heavens would not hold the rains. So it would rain very nicely, or it would be better if you use a word like sufficiently for the people to do the agriculture, for the peasants and the farmers. So the making the availability of the water was also considered as a great task, which gained immense popularity and support by the people to the king. One such incident, what we have an example, was Iltutmish constructing House I Sultani, that is just outside the Delhi outskirts. He constructed a reservoir and made it available to the people. So people started to praise him a lot. So making the water available to the people has been considered as a great task even during that period. Even now it's a great task. And coming to the point, sometimes these water bodies like lakes, rivers, reservoirs, all these were associated with the holy places. Like whenever you visit a temple, you find a small water body there. Whenever you go to a mosque, you find some water flowing there. Whenever you go to Gurudwara, generally Gurudwaras are just side of the water bodies or the rivers, on the banks of the rivers. So like this, the things what they do started to get associated with the God's names. They always try to maintain their association with the God. They always try to portray the relationship between the king and the God was really very close. And sometimes they used to say that they are the representatives of the God, or in some of the inscriptions it is clearly mentioned that they are the shadows of God. Whatever may be the reason, kings hold a very high prestigious post next to God in most of the cases. It is believed that they are the God's representatives, but not gods.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.